Welcome to this presentation today. My name's Christine Smith and I'm here to talk about careers and in building employability skills. As you will see, I'm an employability advisor for the University of Bedfordshire, and as such I've done this sort of topic a few times and so have really thought about, well, what are the common questions, what are the things that people tend to want to know and have fed back later that they found useful. So thinking about building employability, thinking about careers sixth form and beyond, I've talked about those common topics, as I say, but I'm also going to start with addressing the elephant in the room. And COVID is very prevalent at the moment. And how does that affect graduate careers? And that's something we've spent a lot of time looking at. We've been studying the data, talking to employers. And the good news is that much of the graduate employment sectors, as you can see there, have been actually much less affected than other areas of the economy. So while it's not a totally rosy picture, it is good, and it indicates that actually going to university still is worth the investment and continues to be year in, year out. However, we do have to acknowledge that the pandemic is really going to profoundly affect the nature of work. Now and moving forward, many sectors have said that it's prompted changes probably that they were going to do, but they've come much sooner. I want to start, however, by a story. We all love a story. And this is a friend of mine, Emily. She is a UOB graduate, and her job now is Programme Manager for Global Partner Programmes for a company called SHI International. So if you look at her picture and look at the job title, what do we tend to assume about her? Maybe what she's like, maybe what her ambitions were, maybe what school she went to. And so for her, where she ended up was really unexpected. She went to a very ordinary local school, had a part-time job as a waitress, progressed to sixth form. Nobody in her family, to my knowledge, had done sixth form. Certainly nobody had gone to university. She was interested in going to university and thought, okay, I'll give it a try. Started, found it took her a bit to get used to, but she enjoyed it, and carried on the job as a waitress, which helped because that was something familiar. And then as a part of her degree, she had the option to do something called a placement year. So she stepped up again and did that, and that's the point at which I met her. So when she started the placement year, she was encouraged to try out lots of different things, and they were in a much more graduate environment, which she had not come across before. And there happened to be a volunteering project which was for future leaders, which was part-time, I think a couple of hours once a fortnight in the evening. And again, she said, oh, I'll give it a try then. And so in that leadership project, combined with her placement year, she began to develop bigger networks. She got access to leaders nationally, locally. She just began to expand her whole experience. And as a part of the leadership project, they set up a voluntary group and they chose to go into local schools and present sessions on mental health issues, focusing on what resources are available for school pupils. And again, she found this open doors and she enjoyed it, much to her surprise, although she was terrified about presenting, and lots of it she stepped up and had a go. From there, she went back into year 3, and still not really knowing what she wanted to do, but having a broader idea of what some graduate options were. So was thinking, do I try a graduate training scheme? Do I look at graduate employers? And then found that people were going to yeah, go on, have a go, try it. So she applied for a few graduate schemes and got this project, got this job with SHL. So she now works for an IT company, never having assumed she'd do that. She's a customer service manager, managing projects. So she did project management at university, and I guess her customer service skills started when she was the waitress and then grew with her as she progressed through different opportunities and different experience. And the thing she would say is that all of those developed her skills, and they also really developed her confidence. Um, And so when we think about, well, what actually are employers looking for, you may be interested to know that stats differ, but between 80 and 90% of all graduate employers don't mind what degree you did. That's not to put you off studying a particular subject, and it doesn't matter if you've got a very clear career aim in mind. All of those are good, but for those who aren't so sure, then what employers want is somebody, as it says here, who's got a good degree, who've got broad work experience, and who've tried lots of things out, basically. So they're interested in what we've done as well as our degree. Many courses, a lot at the University of Bedfordshire, which I happen to know about, but lots of other universities do the same, will build in periods of work experience as a part of it. But of course, you can start all of that now. And one thing they're particularly looking for is leadership skills. So if you get the opportunity to be the course rep or be the secretary for the brownies or something like that, then step up. I've got a picture of Richard here, who's great. He came to uni, again, studied a sports degree, didn't really know what he wanted to get to do, and just tried out, much like Emily, tried out lots of different things, and now works for the Lawn Tennis Association, and has got a great graduate job that he didn't even know existed when he started university. There's a lot of evidence that the kinds of jobs you might end up in may not even have been invented yet, so to speak, because the world of work is changing and different opportunities are appearing and disappearing. So just think about that when you're thinking about, do I go to university and what do I choose? So if we're thinking about building employability, you see this list here, Squeak, can be really useful. So you don't need to memorize it or anything else, but it's a good way to encapsulate how you can develop yourself as a person, thinking about what you might do in the future. So I've already talked about how those people develop skills, and think about it, you've probably got a lot of skills already. You might not know it, but if you sit down, chat to your friends, your family, have a think, what have you done? You do need the qualifications. It doesn't have to be a degree, but a degree, as I've said, does help. So think about what qualifications you'd like to do or would get you to where you want to. And if you don't know, chat to a careers advisor. Broaden your experience. We're not going to know we can do something until we've tried it. And that helps us to develop attributes and knowledge. So none of it's complicated as such. It's just maybe things we don't think and talk about so much as we are at the moment. So I think the thing I'd want to say to you is you can do probably a lot more than you think you can. And I really want to challenge you to think about, well, actually, what would I like to do as a result of this session? So if you've got a bit of paper or a phone, then, start a list. Evidence says people who've got a written list are 10 times more likely to achieve it. So I've put some suggestions here. You don't have to do these. But think about, have you got a good up-to-date CV? Have you got a LinkedIn profile? Have a go at volunteering. There's lots of online opportunities at the moment. There's evidence that the retail and part-time job sector is actually growing. unlike a lot of other sectors. And there are online posts as well. And I'm sure I've put Add Your Own. Think about it. There'll be lots more that you can have a go at. Again, talk to, if you can't think of something, talk to staff, friends, family, those around you. Often things do appear, much more than we think they will often. So think about, what's your story? Where do you want to go? Where are you now? And how are you going to get there? And all of that covers careers and building employability at sixth form and beyond. Thank you so much for viewing this, and I really, really wish you well in the future. It's been really good to chat about these things today. Thank you so much. I hope you found it useful. There is a facility to ask questions, so just hop onto the chat box, have a look where it is and find it, put your questions down, and we will do our best to answer them. And the number one thing I'd say is I really, really wish you well and all the best in the future, wherever you go and what you do, make a success. Thank you.